What's going on, my friends? Matt Prince from RoyalFitnessAndStrengthCoachSecrets.com here with you today to talk about the kettlebell swing. So the do's and the don'ts of the swing, how I like to do it and how I like to implement it into my programs and into my athletes' programs, and why you should use them, right? I think they're a fantastic exercise, which we'll go into in a sec. But one of the things that I see common is it's just absolutely butchered. You know, you can scroll through Instagram, if you look up the hashtag of kettlebells, there will be no doubt somebody swinging and doing it wrong, right? It's very rare that it gets done right, and I wanted to sort of teach that. Kettlebells are one of those tools that you see a lot of people just sort of storing in the side of their gym or in the corner or whatever, gathering dust. But in times like this, where like a lot of people don't have much equipment, there's a big need and a big usage of kettlebells. I reckon it's probably the most used piece of equipment right now, I would guess, in isolation. Apart from bands, I reckon most people who are training still have a kettlebell or some sort of thing that they can swing around. Now, when we go into kettlebell swings, for example, the reason they're very, very good and the reason I really like them, there's a thing called an overspeed eccentric, which basically means when it's coming down, so the eccentric phase of anything, let's say I'm doing a shoulder press, the down part's the eccentric. In a swing point of view, when the bell's up here and it's swinging through, that's the eccentric. Now, when it's up and when you're swinging, it's an overspeed eccentric because the bell's sort of coming down really, really fast, and you're also pulling it down actively if you're doing the swings right, which is going to be amazing to train your hamstrings in a stretch reflex style of movement. So when it's coming through, you're pulling it actively down and it's going to really snap back. Your hips come back, you're hinging at the hips properly, bums out, your chest is out. The hamstrings load really, really harshly at this point, and then they explode back to get the bell up to here, and then you pull it back down, boom, and you're exploding back. So it creates a tremendous amount of power, but that stretch reflex not only creates power, it also helps prevent injury in the hamstrings. I really think it's a great way to bulletproof your hamstrings is to get that stretch reflex, because then if you go to take off in a sprint, you're less likely to hurt it, right? As opposed to doing, say, the slower movements like a squat or a deadlift, where you're not really at any point training that hamstring to explode and stretch really, really rapidly. So that's one aspect. The second aspect I really like with the swing is the amount of posterior chain that it uses. And when I say posterior chain, I'm talking everything from the back of the neck all the way down to your Achilles or even into your feet. Everything down that back side of your body is getting worked, right? And it's even down your arms and your grip, it will train all those things. But essentially, it's going to start by, you'll feel it most through your hamstrings, through your glutes and your lower back. But as you swing, you're using everything, you're squeezing everything through, you're coming up to here, that's training the upper back. And as you come back down, you'll feel it in your upper back. You can see there's a box over there, there's all the heavy bells over there. When you go to heavy swings, you wake up the next day and it's like, whoa, I feel like I've done a million rows, because your mid back and your mid traps and all your upper back is completely smoked. And that's why I say it trains the whole body, not just the hips. So you're doing these swings, you're getting everything all the way through, all the way up to your up to the top of your spine. Everything's getting stronger and developing, which is better for your posture, better for your performance, better for how you feel and just look in general. I think it's a really, really key thing. The other really key thing with kettlebell swings that I'll put out as the last point, not only does it create massive amounts of power development, not only can you produce a lot of force, not only does it help carry over and help lock out deadlifts better, not only does it help your posture get better, but you can also use it for high reps, and it can be a safe way to do low impact conditioning. Right? And once it's done right, you have to know how to do it right, like I'm going to show you guys in a sec. But once it's done right, you can do like Tabata style, or you can do like a minute on, minute off of swinging, and that'll give you an amazing cardio workout while you're building strength endurance and you're still training that back half of your body and training your whole body really, but you're really focusing on that posterior chain of your body, and you're improving it all at once with no joint impact. So you're not running outside and you're not getting that sore ankles and sore knees. Like, I'm a heavy guy, so when I run, it hurts my knees and my feet and stuff like that. I can do swings, and all that happens is my whole body just sort of gets a really good workout, right? And I really feel it. Yes, I'll feel it like pump up in my back and my glutes and my hamstrings and all that, but that's good. That's what you want. That's sort of progress in your training. So when we start with a swing, I want to show you guys a few don'ts before we go into the do's. All right, now a few common things that I see with a swing. First thing, I've got a light bell here and a heavier bell, which I'll sort of demo the bads with the light bell so I don't hurt myself, and I'll show you the do's with the heavier bell. One of the things that I see a lot of people do is a squat swing. I don't like these. I think they're pointless, and I think you should really focus on that hinge swing, which I'll demonstrate later on. But a squat swing would sort of look like this. So people squat down, the bell starts here, and they sort of swing it up. So it becomes like a squat and a shoulder raise, all right? And at no point, it's sort of, at no point you're using that stretch reflex and that momentum and the hip snap to get the bell up there. And what I'll notice with those sorts of squat shoulder raise ones, people generally feel a lot worse in their lower back in a bad way, right? Rather than having, say, a good workout where it takes 100 reps for it to pump up or whatever. Once you're adapted to kettlebells, you'll feel it pretty much straight away. Like I felt it in those 3 that I did. I felt my lower back going already because it's just a bad position for the body. So squat swings are a no-go. Now I'll explain how to do it in a sec with the hinge swing, and it will make it a lot more sense. Second thing I'll see is people becoming lazy with it. Like they'll do it right. They'll have that hinge where their bum's coming back and they'll swing through, but they'll be lazy in terms of like not locking their legs, not locking their core, and it's just a swing. It's just momentum. I like a style of kettlebell training called the hard style method, which is popularized by Strong First and Pavel Tsatsouline and all these great kettlebell people, right? The hard style swing is a huge amount of force into each swing. Whether it's a light bell or a heavy bell, I don't care. The goal is to tense everything really hard as possible. So you go on quads, you go on core, you go on glutes, you go on chest out, shoulders back, you're tensing everything really hard at the top. So as I pull the bell back, I swing, and I throw this little power breath in there, and you can see a clear difference between those explosive ones to those like lazy kind of, not explosive swings, or the soft style of swings, or whatever you want to call that. So I don't like to preserve any energy when I train. I like to go as hard as possible because I want to create better power, better strength, better, everything. I want to get more out of what I'm doing. So that's one way to do that. The next one is you've got the American swing, and I don't like this because again, like when you start, if you start playing with these big bells over here, American swing's basically impossible for that, or really risky. Now, before I was talking about that overspeed eccentric, this is a good way to increase the overspeed eccentric. But again, I don't like it because it's going to put your body in a compromised position. It's going to have a heavy weight over your head. It's going to take shoulder mobility. It's going to take a lot of different things. Now, this American style swing is very popular in CrossFit. This is how a CrossFit swing would work. And again, it's for CrossFit competition, they have to have a way to measure it. Now, it's different to the way I use kettlebells, which is more the Russian hard style method. But when you're doing these American swings, the way they work is you're coming from here, you're gonna swing, you're coming overhead. So they catch it up here in this locked out position. Now for me, I am not a beginner, but my mobility is terrible, right? Like it's not terrible, but it's not able to handle this swing. You can see my belly's out, my chest, my shoulders aren't back. I can't lock everything in tight like I want to, so I just don't have the mobility for it. It's a bit easier for me to do it with a barbell, with my hands are here, but when my hands are close, my shoulders just don't have that mobility, and most people don't have that mobility. Hence the reason I think it's a bad style or a dangerous way to swing. So I'll show you a few reps of what it looks like. So you're up here, boom, it swings all the way through, boom, all the way through, boom. And a lot of the time you'll see people squat, like I was saying, talking about the squat raise, they'll do that American swing and then still try and squat it. Makes it even more risky, even more dangerous. So for that reason, and for those reasons, I like to keep the swing in that explosive style to as high as your hips allow you to go, right? Whether that's eye level, whether that's, you can even go up here, as long as you're not leaning back and not pulling it and forcing it overhead. I don't like that style of swing. I think it's dangerous. I think it's not needed for what we can get out of it. If you want to go overhead, right? Do your snatches, do your clean and presses. There's a different movement, completely different result that you'll get with that. So now some of the do's, I'll get rid of that lighter bell and I'll pull that heavier bell into screen so you can see. Now, when we're doing swings, a few things that you want to think about from the top down, right? So the first thing you want to do is make sure your shoulders are back and down. So you've got good posture, okay? You're going to make sure that that's in nice and tight. Your hands are going to grip the bell really hard with straight elbows, okay? As you swing, there's two options. If you're going up in weight and you're going a heavier bell and you're not sure about it, you bend your elbows to here. Okay, so you'd swing it, boom, you'd go to here. As you're advancing, you'd swing it with straight arms and you'd go to wherever the hips allow it to go and no higher, but you're not at any point bringing your elbows up like this to get the bell higher. You're either keeping them in tight like that deliberately, so that's the lever or the hinge, or you're coming out like that. And I like to think of my arms as a chain on a wrecking ball, the wrecking ball being the kettlebell. The chain at no point on a wrecking ball is the thing that moves the thing, right? The actual momentum which comes from the hips is the thing that moves that wrecking ball. So that's how I like to think about this. Second piece, so that's the shoulders back, your elbows are back, or your elbows are either locked or in. Next piece is your core. So at the top, you're gonna really brace your abs, like you're gonna get punched in the stomach by someone who's a really good puncher, like a Mike Tyson or something. You're gonna brace really, really hard. So you're tensing that, thinking ribs to hips, keeping a neutral core. So everything's tight, pelvis is tucked under, everything's really, really strong. Going down to the next level, when you come back in a swing, you really want to hinge back like a deadlift position or a Romanian deadlift position. So your knees are softly bent, your bum's out really, really far, the kettlebell's behind. Now, as you swing it up, you're going to squeeze your glutes and tense your knees to get that bell to where it wants to go, whether it's here or here. Okay, now the next point down is at the top, you're squeezing your quads really, really hard. That's going to tense the knees. It's going to create a tension-based thing through the whole body. So you're not leaning back with everything else being tight. You're tensing it and everything stays straight. And the last piece is with your feet. This will only apply, or you'll only notice it apply as the bells go up in weight. Like we've got that in that box, there's a 68 and there's 56s, there's an 80 here. They go up to 92 kilos that I've seen, which hopefully I'll have one of them soon once I master the 80. But when you have a bell that's 80 kilos and it's swinging through and it's trying to throw you around, you really need to squeeze the floor with your feet. So I think of grabbing the floor with my toes and really squeeze it in, and that'll give you a lot more stability, a lot more balance when you're doing these. So with the swing, what you want to do, you want to take your feet just outside shoulder width, so we're about this position here. You're going to start by having the bell out in front, okay? This is the way I like to do it so I can get a bit of a pre-swing. So I'm basically going to be here, my shoulders are back, I've got my bum out, I've got this nice hinge position. I pull the bell into my hips, I start with a small swing. And then I'm going to power it. And then return out in front. So you would have seen every single rep then, I had a power breath. That power breath helps me amplify that tension of the body, my quads, my glutes, my abs, my shoulders pinned back. It helps like know when that end of the rep is. Similar to if you strike, like, right? It's the same kind of thing. You get that breath, it's a power breath. It's called the Valsalva method. It's gonna help tense up everything in your body. Another reason, which is a complete side note, is when you're doing high rep swings or snatches, another reason why it trains your conditioning differently to if you were to go for a run. It's going to be a lot harder because you've got that internal pressure of that Valsalva method, making it a lot tougher on the body. So that's a complete side note, but when you're hitting these swings, you would have noticed every rep, like the first one or two, depending on how heavy it is, easing into it. I don't count those reps. And then your next bunch of reps, whether it's 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever you're doing, you're really focused on exploding, but the bell at no point, I'm not lifting it. I'm swinging it and blasting it from my hips to here, and then I'm pulling it back down. I've got all the tension in my upper body, pull it back through, boom, and it just keeps repeating that same process. That's how you want to swing. I hope that video has been of some help to you guys. Train hard, use kettlebells, don't be afraid of kettlebells. There is a learning curve to them, and I recommend you have them, have yourself, whether you film yourself and send us videos of it, we can help you with the form. If you've got a coach, that's even better. Have them help you and tell you what to do, but make sure that you're doing all those little pieces right and you'll be okay. There will be a huge burn in the whole back half of your body, from your upper back all the way through to your lower back, through to your glutes, through to your hamstrings. You will feel it, especially if you go on high reps of this. Now, it isn't a bad thing. It's building up that strength and that endurance in that. So just persist through it. Be at the level that you can be at and make sure it's done safely, and you'll be absolutely fine. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. If you're interested in training at Royal once we're reopened, let us know. You can apply online. You can check all that out, but that's purely up to you. I hope to see you in the gym at some point. Have a great day. Bye.